Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. KFARR back again once again. So in this video, we're jumping over to Old Squishy Gardner's page because a sovereign citizen decided to finally show up for court. This is going to be his third appearance on Old Squishy Gardner's channel. If you recall, he was the star of Judge Holds Rude Sovereign Idiot in Contempt with Judge Webster, and also with the same Judge Lee, sovereign citizen makes yet another appearance in court. He's back. This guy, Isaiah Curvin. Yeah, he's not going to have a good time. He is going to try to do the whole sovereign citizen thing, use the same played out script, and the judge just simply isn't going to allow him to do it. Enjoy the video.
State of Kansas versus Isaiah Curvin, 24 TR 17. Would counsel state their appearances, please?
I'm here, Your Honor.
May it please the court, the state appears by Jill Gillette County.
And you're Isaiah Curvin, correct?
Correct. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Curvin, there was an earlier date where you failed to appear. A warrant was issued. You were picked up on that. You posted bond. The court order was for you to appear at the sheriff's office, which you've done. So we'll move on. Today was set for a pretrial. At an earlier hearing, you had pled not guilty, or plea of not guilty had been entered on your behalf. I have reviewed the file. There was a document entitled Notice of Special Appearance by Affidavit. Mr. Curvin, did you file that?
Yes, sir.
All right. I have reviewed that. Ms. Gillette, do you wish to make a comment on it before I rule?
I do not, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Curvin, is there any brief statement that you want to make in support of your motion?
Oh, well, I want to ask a couple of questions before we get on to anything.
You can start.
Okay. Yes, I want to know what I'm going to be tried, jurisdiction I'm going to be tried under. Is it going to be civil or is it criminal?
I think we went through this before, and you're charged in the state of Kansas, and this is the Elk County District Court.
Okay.
So you are charged with operating a motor vehicle without a valid license. That is a Class B non-person misdemeanor, punishable up to 6 months in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $1,000.
Yes, I still don't understand it. I don't understand. Is that a criminal or is that a civil? Like, is that a criminal?
Well, Mr. Curvin, I've seen these motions before. I think you well understand where you're charged and what you're charged with. So let's not fool each other here or play games, please.
Now, I don't want to say judges are getting hip to this because I'm not like 130 years old, but for lack of a better term, judges are kind of getting hip to this shit where they've seen the same sovereign citizens over and over again. They know the script. They're not going to let them play games. This judge already saw this guy previously. We talked about that last time. Let's move on. Stop playing games. You saw it with Judge Oakley earlier in the week. Exact same thing. He saw him previously. He knows he's stalling. Hey, can we move this forward? Stop playing games. You saw it in White Lake, Michigan with broken system, broken trust. Taylor, Michigan with broken system, broken trust until he made a big error by trying to make a weird bomb threat to the court. So it got switched to the judge or the head judge. And then he ran from a jury trial, but it's neither here nor there. But I think it's very important to saddle these sovereign citizens with the exact same judge specifically for this reason, so they can call them out on stalling.
No, I'm not playing any games this so I can properly defend myself because criminal and the civil, there are two different ways of doing things. In order to properly defend myself, I'll have to know which one am I going to be tried against.
You are charged in a traffic matter that is treated as a criminal. You would have the right, all the same rights that I mentioned earlier when I went through the rights. You would have the right to a trial by jury or court if you make the timely and appropriate motion in writing for the jury. Otherwise, it would be a bench trial. The duty would be on the state to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay. And you said it's a bit criminal matter, you said?
I mentioned that already, how it's treated. It's a traffic case.
Okay, that's what I was asking, just to verify. So if it's criminal, if it's under the criminal, then it has the court grants this under Article 6 to jurisdiction under the criminal matter, which is
All right. Okay, Mr. Kervin, I have read through your motion. I disagree with your assertions of the law. Your motion is denied. We will set this matter for trial. Are you going to be representing yourself, or are you going to hire an attorney?
Well, before I go to trial, I have to know what's some questions I really have to have answered before I can enter anything, so I can properly defend myself.
I've answered the questions that are appropriate. Now, your motion and the things that you have in there, again, they're not accurate statements of law in regards to these type of proceedings. Your motion is denied. So we're going to set this matter for trial.
Okay.
I need to know if you are going to be represented yourself, or are you going to be hiring an attorney?
Can I ask what is the reason for my motion to be denied?
I've already ruled on it. It's not applicable law to this case. So, and your assertions of what the law is are inaccurate to a large degree. So
yeah,
I'm not going to go through line by line to do that.
No, I'm just trying to see to understand which ones you're referring to, so I can understand what was wrong, so I can know which one you're stating that's inaccurate, so I can have an understanding.
All right. So my question is, are you going to represent yourself, or are you going to hire an attorney?
Well, before we get to that, I have to know how to defend myself.
So this is going to come out really rude. Don't be mad. If he doesn't understand and he wants to represent himself, go to fucking law school. The judge is not going to sit there and hold class and teach you step by step how to defend yourself. If you're really having that much of a problem, go hire an attorney or go to fucking law school. He has to treat you the same way that he's treating the prosecutor, but sovereign citizens don't seem to accept that.
All right. We're going through this cycle here, and I'm not going to play the game.
No, I'm not.
Sir, be quiet.
Hmm.
You're here for a pretrial where you're not being responsive to my questions. If you want to have an attorney, you have the right to have an attorney. If you wish to be represented by counsel and if there's any risk to jail, typically there are times where there is a jail sentence that gets attached to this charge. You can apply to the court. If you meet the criteria, I'd appoint an attorney to represent you. Like I told the gentleman before you, that doesn't mean that you're going to be free. You also have a right to represent yourself. Those are the choices that you have. So you can hire an attorney, you can apply for one, or you can represent yourself. It's one of those three. Which one are you going to do?
Well, from my understanding, once jurisdiction is challenged, it's on to the plaintiff to prove the jurisdiction on the record.
That's at a trial. One of the issues that the state would have the burden of proving is that this occurred in this jurisdiction, which is Elk County, Kansas. It's a question of fact for the trier of fact.
But isn't it jurisdiction can be challenged at any time?
All right. I'm going to find that you're waiving your right to an attorney. I have requested you to answer that question numerous times. I'm going to set this. Stop interrupting. I'm going to set this matter for trial.
Before you do that, I still have I haven't answered my question. I'm trying to understand to come to a conclusion to see how I'm going to handle my case.
All right, Mr. Kervin. You have been asking questions that are not relevant to these proceedings, and I think you're aware of that. I've seen these motions before. I've seen the people try to do exactly what you're trying to do now, where you're not going to piecemeal this out. I've answered your questions, and I'm setting this matter for trial. That will be in person at the Elk County Courthouse. Sarah, we need to have a 2-hour stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a 2-hour setting.
Okay, correctly reflect that this court plans to bring a case against me, which it will not let me know what I'm going to be facing against, because I'm just asking a question to get a proper understanding what's going against me. Cause I'm not understanding the jurisdiction of this, which jurisdiction I'm gonna be tried under. That's all I'm asking, just to get some type of clarification. That's it. I'm not playing the games. This is a serious matter. This is a court date. I came all this way to understand, to see, how it's going, to properly defend myself. I'm not trying to waste your time.
Not going to argue with you about.
No, I'm not here to argue neither, Arner. I'm listening to what you're saying. I don't want to, I heard everything. It just like, I want to understand what's going on. And like, if it's like, how does the trial work if I
You
don't?
need to be quiet now. Sarah,
I have one question. Like,
Sarah, no. Mr. Kervin, I told you need to be quiet now. Sarah, do you have a date for trial, please?
Just so we can clear this up real quick for the sovereign citizen. You're under the jurisdiction of Elk County, Kansas. That's just what it is. And then also, my guy, Judge Webster, you're not just there to get things figured out and to ask some questions. No, Judge Webster said, hey, you better be here this court date, or else that's why you're here. That's the only reason you're there. If you could have gotten away with just sticking on Zoom and talking dumb shit, you would have. But because she's a very smart judge, she decided, yeah, this dipshit's going to have to come and do this in court, and you'll find out it's not going to fly.
I have a question. If I don't want to do a trial, what's the other option?
Okay, Mr. Kervin, I'm waiting for the clerk to give us a court date, please.
Yeah, that's
Nothing further.
I'm asking. You need to. Because.
Mr. Kervin, if I have to tell you one more time, you need to be quiet. I'm going to find you in contempt.
Yes, Judge, we can do the morning of October 28th at 10 a.m.
October 28th at 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay, our trial will be October the 28th at 10 a.m. That will be at the Elk County Elk County Courthouse. Mr. Kervin, as I've explained to you, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. That is, if you wish to ask them questions, obviously that's appropriate to do. If you're going to represent yourself, we're going to be going with what the rules are here in Kansas, not something that you've read online or in line with what you filed. So if I strongly represent or indicate that people are better off being represented by counsel, but that's your choice. But you understand what the potential penalties are. And if you're representing yourself, you're going to be held to the same standard as an attorney in regards to being responsive and how you conduct yourself and how you present your case.
Well, I was asking about my fines. If I wanted to not do the trial thing, how was a fine, or does it have to be set for a trial in order to, that's what I'm asking.
All right. If you're wanting to plead guilty, you can. If you want to plead no contest, where you're not pleading guilty, where you're not admitting to it, but you're also not challenging what the state has done, you have the right to do that as well.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I wasn't challenged. I was just understand. So how much is the fees or whatever once that's settled, would that take care of everything? And I'll need to know like the amounts for whatever it is.
Well, I have told you what the maximum penalties are. I don't negotiate with people. I don't tell them what the sentence is in advance. I'm required to tell people what the maximum penalties are.
Okay, you said the penalty was jail time, but you didn't say the cost.
I said that I said that on a Class B misdemeanor, which this is, the punishment is up to 6 months in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $1,000. Court costs on this type of case are $108.
I feel bad for Jill Gillette. I feel bad for Judge Webster. I actually found out that Judge Lee is actually the chief judge of Elk County, Kansas. Now, there's not very many places that have more sovereign citizen traffic than the state of Michigan. Elk County, Kansas is one of them. They seem to be some sort of a sovereign citizen colony of Michigan. Off the top of my head this year alone, I can count, I believe, 6. Just to name a few, Anthony Dubis. Funny story about him, I just went to look him up during this video. And you have to have an account to case search for Elk County, Kansas. Went to register, gave me a bunch of error messages. So what Anthony Dubis is doing with his life currently, I'll never know. This guy's been here 3 times. The guy that I showed last week, the crazy guy that Judge Webster said, you better be here. He's got 2 cases. The sovereign citizen dad that him and his ex-wife keep going back and forth. He's been there 3, 4, 5 times. Again, it seems like there's a new colony that left Michigan for, the new world and ended up in Elk County, Kansas.
There can be other things that are assessed as well. If a person was taken into custody, generally there's a processing fee of $45. Additionally, if somebody is found guilty, if they're placed on probation, there's a fee that goes along with that. There's various things that occur with that. But as far as the penalty section, I've advised you what the maximum penalties are.
Okay, so for the fees will be like, you said like 1,000 and then about 40, so like about, almost like.
I said that the maximum penalty is 6 months in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $1,000.
Okay, so do you have a number for me so I can see if I'm able to pay to see how much I would, if I can even.
Okay, Mr. Kervin, what you're doing is asking me to give the sentence before you pled guilty. We don't do that. I've explained that.
If I do the no contents is what, so I'm not arguing with you, I'm just, if you said no contents is not an argument. So if I do no contents, what am I looking towards?
No contest. It's the same penalty. A no contest, you're not challenging what happened. What happens then is we ask for the state to proffer what their evidence would be. That means they make a statement to the court. If the factual basis that they recite, if that was their evidence at trial, then a person is found guilty. It's not a situation where you get to contest that. If you're wanting to contest what the charge is, that's what a trial is.
Okay, yeah, that's why if I want to do the no contents, I want to see what the state would have to say. That's what I'm trying to see if we can take care of this and resolve this, because I'm not arguing with the courts.
All right. Have you been in contact with the county attorney's office prior to the court proceeding?
No, just today, just right now. I believe I sent a copy of my documents, but I haven't spoke to them anything about anything else.
All right. The court is not a part of any negotiations that can occur between the person charged and the county attorney's office. Ms. Gillette, are you willing to speak with him if I call a brief recess?
Sure.
I didn't hear your response, Ms. Gillette.
Sure. Yes. Sure.
Okay, Mr. Kervin, if you want to speak with the county attorney about what her recommendations would be, I'm going to do what they call a breakout. And so we'll be putting this case on pause. On the screen, it'll ask for the person to click it for the breakout room. Then that's basically a private conversation with whoever's there in the room with you and then the county attorney. It's not being broadcast out. It's not something that I hear. So I'll grant a brief continuance. We'll be in recess for that. And if the clerk would do the breakout room, please.
You guys have probably noticed the same way I noticed. The pedigree for sovereign citizens isn't what it used to be. When Schrodinger's cat was, when I started watching Schrodinger's cat, then when I started my channel, sovereign citizens were different. They were more hardcore. They were more lifelong SovCits. I'm going to go down the more domestic terror route, if you will. And nowadays, they're just not. They're just not. They're people looking for ways to skirt responsibility rather than being really about that life. You see more and more, they'll fight it more on the side of the road with the police rather than going to court because they know what they're preaching is bullshit. They're much more likely to take plea deals, pay the fines, and then maybe do something later on. But they're not going to do what the old head sovereign citizens do. Like this guy, like broken system, broken trust in, White Lake. Oh, I just need to get out of jail. I'll do whatever you want, Judge. I'll do whatever you want. That's what they're doing now. This guy went from, I'm challenging this. I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to argue with you to, can I just pay the fine? And it's like, dude, you guys, you fell off hard.
The record will reflect that both the defendant and the state have returned from the breakout room. So we have the same appearances as before. Mr. Kervin, Did you get an opportunity to speak with Ms. Gillette?
Yes, we spoke, and I believe we came up to an agreement.
All right. Ms. Gillette, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the agreement as you understand it?
He's gonna plead no contest to driving without a driver's license. And my recommendations are going to be $100 fine, court costs, no jail sentence, pay in 60 days. And that if he doesn't pay, his license would be suspended. He does have a cash bond that he paid cash. He would consent to any fines and costs being taken from his cash bond. There's a form he'll need to sign at the county district court office over here. And then any difference would be refunded to him. So he does have the money here and it will be paid out of the cash bond he has on file. I did look up, I believe it is a cash bond. And the difference would be refunded to him. Those are going to be my recommendations.
Okay, so you're recommending a $100 fine and court costs, is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kervin, is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Kervin, you need to understand, like I mentioned before, the court is not part of the plea negotiation process. So I'm not bound to follow the recommendations that the parties make, even when they've agreed to it. The court could sentence you to the maximum that I told you. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but you need to understand that legally is possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that in mind, is that correct? You still wish to proceed with a no contest plea?
Correct.
All right. Do you understand that with a no contest plea, you'd be waiving your right to a trial?
Correct.
And has anybody forced or coerced you in some fashion to make this decision?
No, sir.
Very well.
I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm pretty sure I have a grasp on how you guys feel, but I don't think this deal was enough. He did all of this shit, played games in court today, has already done this 2 other times, wasted time and court resources, and then, spoiler alert, on the way to court, from I believe it was Texas, got pulled over. I believe he got picked up and had to spend time in jail for driving without a license. So not only did he continue to do this shit for months, he has done nothing to rectify the situation. He's still trying to play the traveling, not driving game, even on the way to court to deal with driving without a license.
Ms. Gillette, what would the state's evidence be if this matter were tried?
Yeah, the defendant was driving home from Greenwood County. He had a case up there. And as he was driving home, he was stopped here in Elk County. They did not know that he had been in court up at Greenwood. He was stopped by Deputy Mike Nelson on February 6, 24 at 3:30 p.m. on Highway 160 and 99 Junction. He was driving a 2007 BMW with a Texas plate. He had no driver's license. I don't know if he just hasn't renewed it and it's expired. Oh yeah, I do. It was expired. And he has not renewed his license. So his license is considered expired. So he had no DL. We charged him under 8-235.
All right. I do find that there has been a factual basis that support the charge. And I do find the defendant guilty on his no contest plea. We'll proceed at this time to sentencing. Does the state have any additional statements that you wish to make?
No, Judge, just the fine, court cost, and apply his bond and refund the difference.
All right. Mr. Kervin, are there any statements you'd like to make before I pronounce sentence?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Kervin, do you have your driver's license now?
It's just an occupational license that I used to go back and forth from work, but not an actual license. It's just like kind of like a work permit type of thing. And I'm not driving. I came here with my family member to bring me here to come to this court.
Ed, I'm going to say this, and you're going to make fun of me for it in the comment section. Back in my day, when I worked at the police department that I worked at, we would have the officers bring in people for driving without a license 5 to 10 times a night. Where I worked, if you decided you were going to drive without a license and you got pulled over, you were going to jail. And more times than not, your car would get towed. So this guy got pulled over, got arrested, and is facing more charges in a different city, but is claiming, oh, I wasn't driving. I was just traveling here with my family for this court date. If that was the case, you wouldn't have caught those new charges.
Okay. I'm not familiar with, is it Coolidge, Texas that you live?
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio now, but that's where I was staying at before. At
Okay.
the time.
All right. Texas requires a driver's license. And Kansas and Texas are a lot like each other in the sense that most people to get to and from work and so forth need to be able to drive. I strongly encourage you to get a proper driver's license. I'm going to pronounce sentence now. I'm going to impose a $100 fine, and I'm going to assess court costs in the amount of $108, which is the statutory amount. I've considered giving you a jail sentence. I'm declining to do so. So there's not a jail sentence imposed. However, I am going to require that this be paid. And you have cash bond that's here in Elk County, or did you post that down in San Antonio?
It was Republic. It was in Kansas where I got picked up. I think it was Republic County or something where I bailed out
Okay.
there.
Let me check with the clerk in a minute and see if they've got that transferred up here now. Sarah, can you answer, is there a cash bond on hand for Mr. Curvin?
Yes, sir. We do have a cash bond posted for him.
And is it in excess of $208?
Yes, sir. It was 2,500.
All right. Okay, so Mr. Curvin, following this hearing, I'm going to order that you pay that today. You have the cash bond on hand. You can come over to the clerk of the district court. They've got some paperwork for you to do in regards to that. So you'll be paying the $208. They'll be refunding the other funds to you, and that will complete this case. Again, I strongly encourage you to get a driver's license. You're a young man still. I'm sure you're going to need one for work and various things. And the vehicle apparently was properly tagged. This isn't a case where a lot of times some of these things we don't have a tag and there's no insurance, and you're not charged with those. So I'm assuming you had those things. But you can really get yourself in a bind if you keep accumulating these type of charges.
Yes, you heard that right. He's even half-assing being a sovereign citizen. He didn't have a license, but he has an insured car and a registered car. And on the flip side, a ton of them are starting to have a not registered car and not insured car, but have a sneaky link driver's license hidden somewhere, and they try to use their passport or a travel card, shout out to you Moors, or just say, trust me, bro, I don't need one. So even now, they're not even hardcore enough to even follow the script correctly. They're half-assing it. But this is where I leave you. The video's already long enough. There's a minute and some change left. I'm just going to let that play, and we'll ride off into the sunset. Have a good day, guys.
And, most states will generate a license for you and then suspend it, and in Kansas, I can't speak for Texas, but in Kansas, there's some mandatory jail time on driving while suspended. So, for your benefit, I'd strongly encourage you to get a valid driver's license.
And Mr. Curvin, your scheduling order for Republic County was returned to that court. Your next court date there is 10/15/24 at 9 a.m. Do not miss.
You said it was rescheduled?
They gave you a scheduled court date for 10/15/24 at 9 a.m. They sent you a notice and it was returned. So make sure you don't miss that date.
Okay, I'll give them a call and get some time.
This matter is adjourned and the parties are free to go.